Hey there, Film Fights with Friends fans. I am Paul Veracci.
And I'm Stephen Keffer.
And we are your hosts.
Film Fights with Friends.
That's right. In case you didn't notice by the time... Fuck.
What?
I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh my God. No, you were just... I don't know what you were going to say, but I will fill in the gap right here and say what a fucking great interview this was.
Oh, man. And what a just, you know, a great movie always helps with a great interview.
Yes.
And we had a great movie to screen and watch for this interview. So
our guest is Rob Alicea.
And we're here to talk about Serena.
Yes. He's the director of Serena.
Which is screening
yeah,
is the word, not previewing, I guess, screening at festivals now.
Yeah, it's doing its festival run. It premiered at CineQuest this year, and then it went on to the Miami International Film Festival, and it's on to some more soon. So he was awesome enough to give us a screener to watch. And for those listening, I actually worked with him on another film where he was producer. We got to know each other. I stunt coordinated on that film. And he's just such a genuine good guy. And then I found out he's my neighbor. He lives around the corner from me. So he was a great guest. He did not disappoint.
No, not at all. I had a lot of fun talking to him.
I mean, I really feel like he embodies what I would hope everybody in the film business would be, in the sense that he's so open and communicative and collaborative and chill,
non-egocentric.
Yeah, totally. Great interview. You guys are going to love this. I mean, listen, this movie Serena, here's a quote from Kevin Smith. I mean, first of all, you get a review, you get a quote from Kevin Smith. You got to be good.
You got to be good.
Kevin Smith isn't going to give quotes for shit movies.
No, and that's definitely not for unprompted for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. So Kevin Smith calls it a haunting slice of techno fiction that echoes techno fact. Finger on the pulse.
Wow. And that's kind of, that. It is pretty true in the creepiest way of a great way to describe this movie.
Yeah, totally. So definitely you guys are going to love this spoiler-free interview. But we do get deep into the themes represented in this film.
Yes, we do.
We get pretty deep into the idea of AI run amok.
Very true. And you were also producer on another movie that these guys did, right?
Oh no, I wasn't.
You coordinated.
I coordinated.
You coordinated. That's right.
So yeah, so it's actually, this is a perfect example, I guess, of how we always say this industry is a marathon and it's about the relationships, right? So listeners might know that I coordinated on a feature with Scott Glenn called Eugene the Marine. Now, the producer of that movie is the producer of Operation Fastlink, or the casting director of Operation Fastlink, the one that I just coordinated on most recently, which Rob was producer of, who I hadn't met prior. So it's like this whole, you work with this guy, they're cool with you, they refer you to this guy who's cool with you, and then you get to meet this guy, and then that's what we always talk about in this, right? How it's a relationship business. So in a way, the fact that Rob was even on this podcast tracks all the way back to Eugene the Marine, which, by the way, tracks 7 years prior to that, because one of the producers on Eugene the Marine, who's also an actor, got a private lesson with me 7 years before Eugene the Marine on how to do a certain fall that she had to do in a scene. And just that one private lesson and our conversations back then, 7 years later, she's producing a movie and needed a stunt coordinator. And I was the stunt person in her Rolodex. So it's literally just like sometimes these things take a long time. It's not a joke when we tell people this business is a marathon.
Taking a long time. Trying to follow that was like trying to follow the riddle in the school when they're like, a train leaves from fucking Chicago and then leaves from New York. What time does it meet in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane how many stops that there would be on both sides to get to the fucking middle of like how you met to get here.
Well, that's the thing. And we always say, we've said it on many episodes, right? Don't be an asshole. Be the person that people like to spend time with. And that's a perfect example. Like, she enjoyed the private lesson, the little bit of work that we did, and domino after domino after domino brings us right to this episode today. Mm-hmm. And it's all just relationship building. And on top of that, David Vadim, the actor who was taking private lessons with me for a while, was the writer and director of that pilot episode that she did the fall private lesson with me for.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of private lessons.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can't say who, but I am very lucky to be training somebody.
You kind of working right now.
Yeah. I'm training somebody for a movie.
Very cool.
A big movie
that we'll be able to talk about soon. Big movies, big actors, big first names and last names.
Ooh, yeah. But no, I'm very thankful. I won't say names, but I'm very thankful to the person who referred me to this job, to train this actor for this other job. So it's fun going on all right here.
Right on this floor you see behind us.
That's it, man. Hey, to our Patreon subscribers, we have a couple names to shout out because we had some activity. Yeah, man.
Love Patreon activity.
Dude. Okay. Shout out Monica Paul. You were a free Patreon member.
Upgraded to paid. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you so much. And you will, by the time this episode airs, we will have already met, but you are coming to the Jack Ryan world premiere.
Very nice.
This Friday.
Oh, I can't wait to meet you.
Because all our supporting Patreon members had access to free tickets.
Very nice.
So, Monica, we look forward to meeting you.
The great thing about these premieres that I like is that we're guaranteed.
Yeah, we had 25 tickets.
As opposed to other premieres, as some of you all may know, you're on the lists, with everybody, and you just get invited, and it's like
first come, first serve.
First come, first serve, and sometimes people are there way early.
Yeah. But this one, not to brush our shoulders off, but just a little, that we had guaranteed tickets for you guys.
Yes.
So our supporting Patreon members got guaranteed tickets if they reached out to us, and Monica did, and so did Ashley Brombauer, who upgraded her membership
from $5 to $7.50.
Yeah, for no reason other than just because you're awesome.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much for being awesome.
We love that. And we will be seeing you at Jack Ryan too. Paul. And then of course, Elena Don, who I've known since I coordinated her thesis film at NYU. And then she started supporting the show on Patreon. She was one of the big blast of new members, Patreon members we got earlier in January.
Oh, awesome.
And she's coming to Jack Ryan too.
Oh, that's great. Well, I can't wait to meet all of you.
We are going to have to do a Patreon member photo with us.
Yeah, for sure. And, we can maybe we could do like a Patreon member
video,
little review afterwards. Maybe we can ask our Patreon members.
We can get their comments on the movie review.
Do a little interview with them, the Patreon members that show up.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Or they can just jump in on ours.
For sure.
Do ours and pull them into it also.
Oh, sounds like a fun.
Oh yeah, so that's awesome, dude.
Like a fun
time. Really good stuff going on, man. Before we get to Rob's interview, which is awesome, we have to again ask you to think about, besides supporting us on Patreon, we remind you that we have a food drive running that you can kick into, and the link is in our show notes.
Feed America Food Drive.
Yep, Feed America Food Drive. And then we also have the link to the TSP, which is the Technical Standards Program, of which I am a member, that only works based on donation and sponsorships. And we are the group that helps write safety standards for the entertainment industry. So if you want to support the people who support you, I mean, we mentioned it on a prior episode. We all volunteer to be on the committees, the working groups that write these safety standards. But not only do we volunteer, we actually pay for it. We pay an annual fee to help support the organization that we are volunteering for. So it's entirely through donation and corporate sponsorship that they function. So if you're interested in helping, keep the industry safer, you can consider throwing a few bucks there. The link is in the show notes too. I did, Paul, before we move on, I did want to follow up on, it's not even in our notes, but I remember it. I did. Here it is. Follow up on the student film car hit story.
Oh, with Pope.
Yes. In Stephen Pope's episode, I told a story about a student film that wanted to do a car hit, and the student film coordinator bailed on it, and for safety reasons. And if you want to go back to episode 2 of the season, listen to the intro, the Stephen Pope episode. We talk about that. And I did get some follow-up. So they did not shoot the car hit.
Oh, very cool.
Yes, they tried to, from what I understand, from what he told me, they tried to cheat it, which was a good idea, a safe idea, the better idea.
Definitely from what you said.
And they tried to cheat it by doing I still probably wouldn't have done it, but they tried to do it like in reverse.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Car drives backwards away from the person.
Right.
Kind of thing.
And they roll off the hood.
Something like that. But
hey, look, the top of a hood to the bottom of the ground, especially concrete. Let's just say there's no mat on the ground. That's what, 2.5 to 3.5 feet. That'll crack your head. That'll give you concussion. That'll put you in the hospital. That could put you in a coma.
I would say A, for effort in terms of avoiding the actual car hit and trying to cheat it. I still, from what I know,
but avoiding some risks doesn't mean you don't introduce others.
Yes, and so by doing a car, let's say we want to do it in reverse, right? So we start with you on the hood, and then you start driving backwards, and I roll off to my feet, and then you drive backwards away from me, and then I'm standing there as if it's the opposite, right? A lot can go wrong there. It's still a moving car.
Like I said, they get the roll off, the back, maybe the back will slide on the hood, and then they fall and they hit their head on the concrete.
Maybe the dude driving
gasses it a little bit,
gasses a little too much, or accidentally hits drive instead of reverse, or you just never know. I would have still opted to go for a different kind of cheat where you don't even have to see human interact with car at all. That would have been me for a student film. But I also want to give props to the original student stunt coordinator who bailed on the project, who told me the story, for alerting. He did end up alerting the department about it.
Yeah. And good on you for saying no and knowing that it was just unsafe. And
yeah,
I think I've mentioned it. The first call I ever got was way, way early in my career before I was in SAG. And they were like, hey, do you want to come shoot a fight? And it was a student film. And I was like, already, even just shooting a fight, not even knowing what it was, I was already like, why are you calling me? And they were like, yeah, it's between a bunch of kids on a bus. And I was like, what in the fuck, are you out of your mind? I was like, no, absolutely not. And I recommend you hire a professional if you're going to have 15-year-old kids fighting on a bus. You psychopath.
Yeah, totally.
Like you don't ask me before I was even in SAG.
If you are a student filmmaker listening or watching this show,
Jesus,
you're always free to reach out to us, and you'll probably ignore our advice. But if you're willing to take our advice,
well, we will give it.
If you're willing to take our advice, we're glad to offer it. So if you want to reach out to us,
the safest advice is sometimes not what you always want to hear.
Yeah, well, that's ironic because didn't Rob mention that in this episode, talking about notes on screenplays and stuff, like not wanting it, like don't ask for notes if you don't want to hear the notes that you may not like.
Yeah, Well, it's funny. People always bring up that because it's a very famous interview with Tom Cruise when he's like, I wanted to do this, and I asked the whoever, and they said you can't do that, so I fired him and found someone who could. There's a difference between him firing a guy because he wouldn't do something and then hiring someone who was crazy. He fired.
He didn't hire a crazy person.
He didn't hire a crazy person. He fired someone with the capability of doing it safe. There was an inherent difference in the way that short clip was presented to where, no, Tom Cruise didn't do something unsafe. He just found an option that could get him what he wanted.
Well, and what happened, if you guys didn't listen to the Stephen Pope episode, is this student who was tasked to be the coordinator on this film after he expressed his concerns got fired from the film.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, that is real life. That shit doesn't stop, just after student film. World.
But again, I'm assuming what happened is they fired him and then no one else would do it. Or they couldn't find anyone else that would do it. Or
maybe they fired him, but then he at least got them thinking about it. Because remember, if you recall, they could have gotten a phone call. He suggested to the actor not to do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then he didn't tell the production until it was over. But he didn't tell the school until he knew exactly how they had handled it. You know what I mean? But
well, it's like, when you give those advice to people, been like, hey, they asked you if you can do this. And of course you feel like you want to say yes, but if you can't do this in a Walmart at 12:30 at night with your fucking eyes closed, say no because you're on your own.
Anthony Hong, we were going to use that quote
all the time,
forever. So anyway, it was a good little follow-up on that. I hope you guys appreciate it. If you didn't hear the full story, go back to episode 2 this season with Stephen Pope, and we tell the full story in the intro. Let's thank our sponsor, Stunt Contact, and remind everybody that if you are not subscribing to this stunt breakdown, industry breakdown, really, you need to do it.
And our discount code is FFWF.
POD.
Son of a bitch.
You had it.
I had it.
You did have it. But listen, that's our discount code. You get 25% off a daily subscription, 15% off a weekly. FFWFPOD, all capitals. Don't forget the caps. If you're not subscribing, you don't know what you're missing.
And even if you're not a stunt person, it's called Stunt Contact, but this will help everybody in the industry that is looking for work, that is trying to get around. It is, again, I've said it before, it is the one-stop shop for your production needs on what's going on and where it's going on.
Yep.
So if we're all sitting here and we're all like, fuck, I don't know where work is, I don't know this, I don't know that, Stunt Contact will help you.
Yeah, and their newsletter's pretty good, too.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good little tidbits in there.
And different paid levels get you different news levels.
Different frequency.
Different frequency. Sorry.
It's all good, man. It's a Tuesday afternoon and we're drinking.
I know, right? Jesus.
What the hell? We got to teach after this. Drunken style tonight.
I love my job.
Me too.
Jabs.
I think that's it, right? As of course, we always say,
like and follow us.
Yes, like, follow, subscribe, review, whatever portal you check us out on. If you're on YouTube or our Patreon, you will notice a change in our organization of our pages. That now that we have nearly 60 episodes, I have recategorized our pages into playlists for all the episodes with directors, all the episodes with stunt people, all the episodes with writers. So now you come to us, all the filmmaker episodes, meaning like the cinematographers, the special effects guys, or everybody else. So you can dial in exactly what you're looking for. If you want to see stunt episodes or hear stunt episodes, you go to that playlist. If you want to hear from actors, you go to that playlist. If you want to hear from directors, you go to that playlist. So we're making it easier for you to find what you want.
That's fucking actually really cool. When you first started talking about this, I was going to tell you that sounds really fucking boring.
It might be, but I think it will be helpful, right? Because
no, that's all like okay.
Think about it. Like when you
we're so many episodes in now, it's not like we're only at episode 10. And I'm like, who gives a shit? We have 3. We're coming up to 56
57 or 58.
56, 57. Yeah. That's a lot of that's categories right there. And that's great.
Like when you discover a podcast, I have this problem all the time. When I discover a podcast, which episode do I start with? You don't always, like, honestly, truth be told, like, sometimes the early episodes aren't the good ones.
What did you tell me that some podcasts don't take off until episode 100?
Something like that.
Like that's what the 100. We're 3 seasons deep on 57.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That means I have to fucking sit here across from you for like another 3 fucking years, possibly. Yeah,
by the end of season 4, maybe. Right? Season 4, we'll have another 26. By the end of this episode, by the end of this season, we'll have 26 times 3. What is that? 52, 50, 60, 78.
Damn.
Plus the pilot episode, which is 79.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so by the end of season 4, a few episodes from the end, we'll hit 100.
You need to get better looking because this is getting tough.
I'm just getting older and more ugly, man. But seriously, so I think when people come to our pages, it'll be easier for them to make a decision, like, what should I listen to first if they're new, right? They can go...
That's a great question for our Patreon members. For any of our new listeners, what do you guys think? Or any of our members, because we're not on our martini shot. I forgot. We're doing the intro. So what do you think our best intro episode would be?
That's a good question. Like, if you had to refer us to somebody else, which episode would you tell them to listen to first? Actually, please do answer that in the show notes. And speaking of...
And refer that episode to one friend.
Yeah, totally. I had an idea, Paul.
Oh,
by
God.
the way. I'll tell you after.
I'm not doing anything else with you.
I had an idea about a seminar, a workshop seminar.
Son of a bitch.
No, like one of our normal training camps.
Oh, okay.
Except for free.
Okay.
But to get in, you have to subscribe to our YouTube and refer one friend, and they have to subscribe to the YouTube. So all they have to do is show us that they got us 2 subscriptions to YouTube. And they can take the workshop.
Interesting. What's the workshop going to be?
I don't know. One of our normal stunt ones, screen fighting or something like that.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right. I'm down.
So before we go to Rob, I do need to read this note from Eugene Sofinelli, who we met at the Art of Movie Making Film Festival.
Oh, yes.
He was on the panel. And he was, ironically enough, he was in The Penguin, right?
Yep.
And so he replied to the Pope episode. Just checked out your podcast with Pope. What a great dude, but really a great episode. I so do appreciate Stephen, especially his thoroughness, but also how you, meaning us, are getting this knowledge out there. People need to know. We agree. People need to know how awesome Pope is. So. And of course, we have our dueling top fans of McKee and Frankie commenting back and forth. I was going to read a comment by McKee, but then Frankie made a comment, and then it's just like these 2 guys are prodigious commenters. We love them. Frankie,
you're the best.
You're the best. McKee.
I'm like, Frankie follows us. I follow Frankie. Like, Frankie pops up on my Facebook feed now. I'm like, we're fucking buddies.
Okay, Frankie, if I didn't know you for, like, literally, how long do I know you? Like 10, 15 years?
Well, you've known him for a while. I mean, I only know him as a Facebook face.
If I didn't know Frankie in person, I think he was a stalker. He's, like, everywhere, dude. He's on the TikTok. He's on the YouTube. He's on Instagram. He's on the Facebook. He posts everywhere.
Well, we have one person that loves every single one of our posts, all of our Instagram posts, yes. Ming, I forget who it is, but they love everything that we post.
There's some people who religiously just hit the like button.
Yep. And I wonder if that's they just boop.
Well, boop. We appreciate you, man.
Boop.
You're helping out the algorithm.
Right, help us.
Speaking of algorithms and the internet, let's go to Rob and talk about Sinister AI.
And Serena.
Dude, Rob, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is awesome. This is really awesome.
I can't wait to talk about this. Like Steve and I are both ready to freaking explode.
Well, it's thank you so much for having me, especially Steve. After getting to know you and work with you, which has been awesome. Then to be invited on your podcast, I thank you just as much.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, Paul, I don't know if Paul knows, he lives literally like around the corner from me.
Oh, that's great. That's nice.
We never see each other, but
I mean,
which we just found out about on set of the last film we worked on. We literally discovered that we're both in Astoria.
Oh, that's
like
fun.
you said, and actually where you live currently is probably like 4 blocks from where I grew up, because I'm born and raised in Astoria. So it's
nice.
wild. Yeah.
And you know who he's neighbors with Joshua Todd James, writer Josh.
Oh, that's amazing.
So this is so funny. So I have known Josh, at least through the neighborhood, forever. Well, like probably 20 years. He and I would always see each other, always like say hello. I knew he's a martial artist. I had studied martial arts for years. So it was kind of like, oh, it's a fellow martial artist here.
Right.
Had no idea he was a writer. And I always kept seeing him at the laundromat. Right. So I'm like, all right, now's finally the opportunity to finally be like, hey, man, I'm Rob. I've seen you in the neighborhood forever. I just want to introduce myself. Then we start chit chatting. What do we each do? And it turns out he's a fellow writer. So it was just like this really like cool moment. And then figuring out that he knew you, it's like the world is so small and there are no accidents. It's very, very strange and awesome at the same time.
And he's been on the show twice for those listening. If you want to go back and check it out, episode 2, right, of season 1.
Mm-hmm. And then the final episode, he interviewed us.
Yeah, we did a little switching the seats, and he took over the podcast and interviewed us. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, we're here to talk about your new movie, Serena, which is not out yet.
Yeah.
But we're very lucky to have seen it, and holy cow.
I watched it with my wife for Valentine's Day. I have a crazy work schedule, and I didn't know when I was going to get home from work, because who knows how long I'm going to be there some days. So making dinner reservations was pretty much impossible. It was just
right.
I couldn't commit to it. So she's like, oh, let's just watch something. And I was like, man, I have a screener that I watched like 15, 20 minutes of with Steve. And the first day I was like, man, my wife would love this.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, let's watch that for Valentine's Day. So that's what we did.
And what did you call it? You said it's a...
So I don't see them very often, but there are movies that I call screen screamers. And,
cool.
And this was a fucking, oh my God, it was a screen screamer. And I mean, so basically what it is you are yelling at the person, giving them advice, asking them why, and just being like, what in the fuck? Like, it is you are screaming at the screen. You are so into this movie. You are yelling at the screen. Yeah, I call them screen screamers, and I don't watch that very often.
I love that you said that, because my wife and I, we're the same exact way. It's funny because we love movies. We love watching them at home. But like one of our favorite things to do, like we try to, because we also work together, we say, all right, we got to do date night once a week. Super important. What do we love doing? We either love eating or we love going to the movies. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing about that is when we go to the movies, we're just like you. We're talking, what do you think is going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And we kind of forget that we're not home. So like we're constantly getting shushed. And then she and I look at each other like we're literally more than most people. We should know not to talk during the movie, but we're the same way, man. We're super verbal. And when you have those moments, it's actually really cool, because I think it says to us, whatever we're watching, it's suspended the disbelief. Right. And that's kind of what we hope for, right? You go to see something that makes you forget for 90 minutes, whatever else is going on out there. And you're seeing somebody sometimes making really, really bad choices.
Hold on. Yeah. This movie did not make me forget about what's going on out there.
Oh, God. I guess I understand why you're saying that as well. Yes.
So give for the viewers and listeners, give us a log line, give a little breakdown of what is Serena.
Yeah, so in this film, we follow down on his luck, rock bottom musician who has had the height of his career and is now trying to dig himself out. He's going through the 12 steps. He's trying to find work. He has a baby on the way, like really being hit with challenges, both internally and externally from every which direction. His best friend, who works at a tech company, says, hey, look, as you know, we've been testing this revolutionary new AI chatbot. We were actually performing a beta test today. Somebody no-showed. It's paying money. I know you need some money right now. And I would really love it if you could help me out here. Are you willing? The lead musician character named Chris is obviously very apprehensive about it. He does not want to be involved with anything on the AI side. For him as an artist, he's very reticent against it. Inevitably ends up performing the beta test. And the big question we want to ask of the audience is, who is testing who? So that's a Cliff Notes version of the film.
Yeah. And Chris, the lead, is played by Strait of The Expanse. For people who watch that show. He was amazing. I remember after I watched it, I texted you. Yeah. And I was like, the emotional range that this guy has to go through in this movie is insane. And then we should also tell the viewers that this is a screen life. So the entire movie is
what he sees on screen,
what he sees on his computer screen.
Yes.
And that's been done before, but not so. I think this is probably the best version of that I've seen, you know.
Thank you, man.
Because you forget. You forget that you're watching your screen.
Yeah, because, I mean, look, we're on our screens all day, every day. Most of us, to some degree, right? Whether you're on your phone or you're on a computer. And that's what I thought was so cool. Because when this project came to me and the writers had said that they intended to do it as a screen life movie, which is like what you said. It's a movie. I kind of call like it the evolution of found footage. Imagine a found footage movie where you were watching somebody's computer screen the entire time. It felt so perfect for this because it really is all about a guy going through this real-time test. And even while we were developing and talking about it, we really did come to the conclusion, like, I don't think there's any other way you could have told this movie. Like, you could have told it in a standard narrative format, but I just don't think it would have had the same impact. So yeah, it has this immersive quality to it because you literally feel like as if someone, again, recorded a screen and you're like a fly on the wall watching this guy's trials and tribulations unfold for basically 90 minutes straight.
So yeah, this guy lived 90 minutes of his life real time in your movie. Yeah, it's insane.
And then he basically had to answer 100 questions. Or he had to ask the bot 100 questions in a certain amount of time. And the one I can say the basically the major rule, So the major rule is don't engage the AI.
Yeah, so in this test, you know, there's a ton of questions, right? And what they're really trying to do, because the way AI works, it has a hard time distinguishing between fact and fiction. So this company is really trying to figure out, well, how well is it doing, if you will? So as Chris takes it through and starts asking them the chatbot pop culture questions and historical questions, it's really like, can this thing tell the difference between a fantasy novel and a piece of like literal art? So it's a big part of this AI trying to, I guess, better understand us, but then also too, as it kind of understands us, how can it use those things against us, which is a big thing that I think we see in the film.
Yeah, it's awesome. But so we were saying, the emotional range that Strait goes through is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, you name an emotion, he has to show it.
Well, and this is a crazy story. I've only been able to tell it really a handful of times because we're now, just going out with the film. But Strait and I actually went to high school together. And never met in high school because I was older than him. So you know the deal, right? In high school, it's like if you're 2 years older than somebody, you're not like really interacting too much with underclassmen or freshmen or whatnot.
Those are the guys kicking my ass.
Wait, so does that mean he's a native New Yorker?
He is a native New Yorker. Yes, awesome. He's born and raised in New York, in Manhattan, I believe. Awesome. And the first time he and I ever met, we actually met when he came to the casting office to meet me and discuss this film. And it was crazy because from the minute we started talking, you hear a lot of times directors say this, but there was nobody else I could imagine playing the part because he just got it. He understood the mission of the film and the purpose. And then, like you said, when the work that he did on film was just mind blowing. It is, we always hear about films going into overtime, or, you have to sometimes push things back. It was the first time in my 23 years of shooting movies that we were ahead of schedule. We were literally like 2 days ahead of schedule because his memorization skills, there was at one point, and this is not an exaggeration, we did almost a 7-page take because he just kept giving me this sign in the monitor, like, I can keep going. So we're like, all right, let's go. And 7 pages, he didn't miss a word.
That's amazing.
It's like, it's crazy, really crazy. And not just that, one of the most intelligent actors I've met and had the grace of working with, and just an amazing person. You know what I mean? Just a good dude. So I think if you have the talent, you get to work with someone like that has the passion, and then they're also good at what they do. I mean, that's the jackpot.
And then Andi Matichak, did I say that right?
Matichak, yep.
Matichak, yeah, who from the Halloween movie series, plays the AI.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Chatbot.
I mean,
amazing.
Both actors are amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, and she had to show emotion without showing emotion. Like, she had to show, I think Paul just brought it up before we got on the air. Is the AI bot really afraid of dying, or not really afraid of dying? It's like,
I was like,
it's crazy.
But is it afraid or is it angry? It's not going to.
Right.
It's such a weird way to go. Like, is it just defensive because we're saying no, shut you down? So it's like, is it emotion or is it directive?
Yeah.
And I think these are all the questions I think that people are asking themselves. And I think that's where I'm sure a lot of the fear around AI comes from. But, just to go back to Andi, I love the Halloween movies. And I thought that the Blumhouse Halloween movies did such a great job. I mean, especially I remember going to see the 2018 film. You have the 3 generations, right, of the Strodes, Strode women, if you will. Well, I know their last name was Nelson in it, but she was a Strode, right? So you had Jamie Lee Curtis. Then you had, obviously, Andi, who played her granddaughter. And then you had Judy Greer, was her mom. From the first minute I saw that film, I thought Andi was so amazing. I was like, man, this actor just gets it. And I'm such a horror lover. Her performance blew me away. The amount of emotional range that she had to go through in that film, and then also being a character tasked with, for all intents and purposes, you're like passing the torch to them, right? And they're the next generation.
Yeah.
And acting in this film, basically Andi had to sit in one chair and look straight down the barrel to the camera. And we were so lucky that our cinematographer, Dominic Savilli, who is amazing,
pretty legendary. People in horror and just locally around here, especially.
Yeah.
Everybody knows him.
She was creepy as fuck.
She was really and the coolest thing that he was able to rig for them. We rigged, a lot of times people know that you have these teleprompter setups that you can do with iPads. We figured out a way to live stream Steven and then mirror that onto onto the teleprompter so while she was looking straight into camera, she was actually looking at him. They were actually able to work together. I don't know if other screenlife movies have done that. But that was just something where, we understood these are 2 professional actors. What do I mean by that? They emotionally go there. There is no faking it. They're really putting their heart and their energy and everything out there. And it's tough if you don't have anyone to work off of. And that's the challenge too with these screenlife films. But to be able to have them work.
It's like when I texted you after I saw it, I said, you pulled off the other screenlife film that most recently I watched was the War of the Worlds one. And I thought that movie sucked. It didn't work. It just didn't have what you have and maybe this is the key, part of the key anyway, is that they're actually acting with each other in the moment.
It's a big factor. I also think too with the War of the Worlds film, it's a hard movie to pull off for screenlife, I think, because it's such a big movie and there's so much action. But I will say the editing of that movie was very inspiring, because as we started to kind of go through this process, our editor, Ellis Sanger, another amazing guy, he originally started out as our assistant editor, but he has such a passion for screenlife films to the point where, and this there could be no mistakes. One of his final projects, graduating from his film school, was he did a video essay on where he thinks screenlife films will go and what are the importance of them and how can they contribute to cinematic languages. He was our assistant editor, and then he got it so well that we were like, we couldn't imagine really working with anyone else. But as we've gone through the process, he's grown so much. We all have. And I feel like for War of the Worlds, at least for screenlife films, I feel like, man, the editing was peak editing. I was very impressed by that. The way the movement, and it just felt like, you couldn't stop. I thought that was really cool.
My problem with War of the Worlds is there was no reason for it. It just took me out of it. I didn't understand why everything was switching. I didn't understand how he saw it all. It didn't make sense.
I mean,
as opposed to with your film, it was actually part of the story. The AI was doing, was using the camera, and even in the beginning, before it happened, you continued editing the same way. So the whole film made sense as to why the jumps were there without just to fucking fill in the story.
Well, and the other thing,
like, hey, we're going to go to this other screen cam in this room because it's here. So we'll just give it a connection.
Well, that is like, I didn't even think of that. Like what you're saying, that is the story, because the screen is how the AI communicates with you.
It was a character, so it really helped.
But in War of the Worlds, I never forgot I was watching a screenlife movie. I mean, maybe it was because it was a reboot, maybe it was like the story didn't match or something. But with Serena, I would forget that I was watching a screenlife movie, especially. And I want to talk about the editing decisions, but like the slow zooms into the video frame that takes up the entire frame of your screen. And then you hang there for a while, so you forget that you're watching a webcam or something.
Yeah.
And then it slowly pulls away, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm on their screen. And then it's slow, it's never, I love how your movie, it's never a quick cut. It's never fast. It's very slow and deliberate, along with the growth of the tension, kind of, right?
Yeah, it's, screenlife films, it was, I think we all said it, it was the biggest challenge of any of our careers, right? From, even like from a cinematography standpoint, right? Like you have someone like Dominic Savili who shoots these sometimes gorgeous, sometimes grungy, sometimes scary films, but his cinematography is always incredible. These films have to feel underproduced. Right. So you can't light things like you would this beautiful, cinematic image. It's supposed to look like this, like it's like my web camera. But I think what I've learned from the process is, you have to look at the story first, right? So everything to me begins and ends with story. The story should really depict, right, what we're essentially seeing. I always said from the beginning, I wanted to approach it like we have a really, really great story that just happens to be a screenlife format, versus thinking like, I want to make a screenlife movie and let me fit the story into that. I think the story always took precedence, and then looking at the story, let that determine the choices, right? And if, like you said, for moments that felt slow, a lot of it too was depicted by the tension between the two. And again, Stephen and Andi, I could rave about them all day long, and I always do. They were just so damn good, to the point where, you're on set and you almost forget like you're on the set of your own film. Like there were just times where I was just watching them work together, and they were so honest and so truthful that, like, again, my own suspension of disbelief was suspended. It was amazing.
So one of my favorite directors is Paul Vanderhoeven. RoboCop's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about RoboCop before, but I've never mentioned Total Recall, which is another
Total Recall is one of my favorites. One of my favorite movies of all time.
This movie made me think about Total Recall, and the reason is because I was like, it's kind of crazy because we all, if you've seen Total Recall, everything was about him going to this place, lying down, and getting all of these things implanted in his head from a bunch of questions that they asked him before he went and sat in the chair.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So this was like, to me, just I don't even know if you meant to do it, but I was like, wow, this could have been a sequel to Total Recall.
Oh, that's probably the greatest compliment I've ever gotten. I think I'm so inspired by it. Total Recall, really for me, films where we don't know what is real and what's not, things that play heavy themes like Tales from the Crypt and Twilight Zone are like, I think some of the best television shows ever made because they just work. Like you have like real stakes and they're scary and you don't know what's going to happen. Or sometimes what's scary is not even like the horror of it. It's like the truths that we find. And I think undoubtedly, that was such an inspiration for me. And I think one of the coolest things, now from seeing this with different audiences at festivals and like folks like yourself who are giving feedback is a lot of people don't know what's real and what's not. And I've had so many people come back to me with different theories. And that for me is one of the greatest things I could ask for, really, for this film, because those are the films I love watching. And that was really the goal, is like, I want to make something that is fun to watch, something that I would hopefully enjoy watching. So then, when it resonates with people, you're like, okay, cool, we did our job.
Like, what's in the box?
Yeah.
I'm curious that you bring up Twilight Zone, and I know like Rod Serling, he definitely had a very strong social consciousness, and he was really using science fiction to make political statements about society and community and people. And and using science fiction as a way to kind of slip it under the door, right? Like social commentary. And I'm wondering, did you approach this, or not just you, but also the writers like Jonathan Benecke,
yes.
Yeah, and P.T. how I'm saying it wrong.
Hilton. Hilton. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. P.T. just followed us on Instagram, and if you're watching this, I'm sorry for butchering your name, dude. But was there any kind of was there some motivation like that, like other than just an amazing science fiction story and kind of a statement of where things are going? Were there any kind of other desires regarding social commentary and stuff like that?
Yeah. I think of it like this. For me, storytelling hopefully can bring us together, right? To some degree, or it could reveal something about us as people. I've always loved characters, I think, that are fighting for something. Like growing up, I was always drawn to like Rocky, the Karate Kid, right? This idea of someone that's like an underdog fighting against all these insurmountable, just odds, if you will. And I think, first and foremost with the Chris character, being an artist myself and knowing the ups and downs of what that career can look like, and also too showcasing his highs of highs and then what happens when there's the lows of lows. I thought that was really interesting.
All three of us have been through that. Like anybody in the film industry has been through the high of working and then the immediate depression of the job's over, now what?
Yeah. And also too, the types of jobs, the survival jobs that you have to make it, or to survive. So I thought that was really interesting, right? To kind of see what happens to somebody who's been there and then now is trying to fight back. And one thing that I was very conscious of is just also having that empathy for him, right? Because I think that in our culture, people can look at celebrities and think that they're perfect or that their lives are perfect, or just because they have money or fame or awards that like every day is hunky dory, but it's very often not the case, right? So I think that with Chris, you definitely see that.
I mean, when he's doing the cameo video or like the birthday video, the way that I felt that, talk about empathy, and like he came across so sad that he had to do this to try and pay the bills. Yeah. Even though he had a smile on his face and everything for the video, you know, for the birthday message he was recording, but you could just see that underneath that smile is just a depressed, sad person. It was,
and speaking on the depression, that was another thing that we talked about too, how important mental health is just for all of us. Like for me, I've contended with depression pretty much my whole life, anxiety, you name it. So for me, that was a very other important part to showcase, you know, that mental health struggle he's having, because he is really going through it, you know, to the point where, you know, you would see him, he would sit there and just his amount of worth was really, really low. But to also see that you recognize that you do have people in your life, right, that do have your back, you know, that you can get the crap kicked out of you in life, right, whether it's career wise or life wise, health wise, anything, financially, etc. But he has a friend that cares about him, and he has his wife, so he does have those people. But then there's also that allure of temptation, right, where that's also you know, discussed in the film. Also, to what is our relationship going to be like with technology? I think about that all the time, right? Like kids, for example, that are born now, like, for example, I ask Andi all the time, like, what do you think about the fact that like your kids will always only grow up in a world where artificial intelligence was a thing? It's an interesting question. And I think we're all asking ourselves that all the time. So that was another big factor, right? Yeah. What is life going to look like in the next coming years? What are the regulations around AI? Corporations, are they looking out for the customer? Are they looking out for the bottom line? There's a lot of questions that the film asks, and that was really important to all of us because, you know, you want to say something. And if you look at a film, you have to, I think, look at every film you do in like two ways, right? One way, look at it as a beginner, right? Going humble, say, hey, I want to learn. If I don't know something, admit it, right? Or try to find the answer. But then at the same time, treat it like it was your last film, right? Like if this is the last piece of art that I ever put out to the world, what's the level of quality that I want to put out? What's the story I'm trying to tell? What are the particular people for this film I want to reach? So there was a lot of questions, and we spent a lot of time in development too, you know, to really get everything to where it needed to be. And I think that's why the film, it has been well received, because the work has been put in. You know, it's a lot of time to find all those nuances in a story. And for me, that's my favorite part, is like getting the story together. I mean, as fun as filming it is, and editing and getting it together and seeing it, man, crafting the story, I think is the best part of the whole thing.
How did Jonathan and PT, how did their screenplay get to you?
Yeah, so it's a funny story. So we had met through a mutual contact from a company called Exit 44 Entertainment. So Exit 44 had put out a tweet on Twitter that they knew some writers that were looking for a director for a movie. It said it was a science fiction. I don't remember exactly what the tweet said. I think it said might have said it was a sci-fi thriller. So I said, all right, that's interesting. So I reached out and I said, hey, you know, I see that you know some folks that are looking for a project. I'm looking for a project. I'd love an introduction. So they introduced us. I met PT and Jonathan. Immediately we're like, okay, these guys are super smart. You know, they really get it. I read their deck. I was like, the deck is sharp. Then I was like, well, when do you guys want to shoot this? And they wanted to move on it pretty quickly. This also happened to be the year I was getting married. And I was like, oh man, I was like, you know, planning a wedding, especially ours was a destination wedding. It was small, but you know, there's a lot of planning when you're flying to another country. So I was like, I love this project, guys. I'm like, selfishly, I really want to do it. I just don't know if I can. I said, but how about this? I said, I'm going to recommend to you 3 directors that I love that like would kill this movie and do such a great job and bring a really unique perspective and are just awesome to work with. I said, and I want to pitch on it as well. I said, just because I feel like if I don't, I'm going to regret it because the story was too good. And I said, if you think that I'm the right person, would you be willing to be flexible with the dates? And they said, if you're the guy, yes. So I said, all right, well, then I have nothing to lose. I pitched on it. All I did was put together just what my take is, right? This is how I see the story. This is what I would love to bring to it. I love collaborating with writers because I'm a writer myself. And I, said, hey, these are some areas where I think we could really have fun. Let's dig in and play. And that was it, man. The rest was history. I got married in May, which has been awesome. I just had my 2-year anniversary. Thank you. And then, we shot the movie the end of that year. So I'd gotten married in May and we shot the movie in December.
So are there any differences, without giving too much away, that you can talk about from what you read to what you kind of morphed it into?
Yeah,
I would say, like, when I got it,
sure.
it was this. When we shot it, it became this.
Yeah, there were definitely things that we found, right? Because when you start to put together your team, it's so interesting because everyone has different perspectives. So we're all, and one time, one of my writing partners said that what he heard from somebody one time is when you receive a note on a screenplay or a movie, he said what the note is an unmet need, right? And I was like, that kind of like blew my mind, right? It's like sometimes somebody might not know why something works. And sometimes they can't articulate that, right? It's just something feels off. It's an unmet need. So one of the things that we had talked about was, okay, well, how can we up the urgency of the film, right? Because we essentially, it wasn't going to take place over many days. So one of the things that we had found together after we had all partnered was the time element. So originally the beta test did not have a time element on it, right? It was, you have to complete these questions. So that was one of those things that we talked about. Well, what does this thing look like, right? Of the time element. And I think that for me, I loved because I always wanted to do something that had that, from like the minute this thing starts, that, okay, there's going to be an ending here.
And it's my wife is neurodivergent.
Okay.
She could not stop freaking out about the amount of questions he had and the clock. She was like, oh my God, look at all the questions you have. You have to start answering them. You've got the clock.
Oh my God. That is so cool.
But I love it that the clock is literally, okay, movie starting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to end soon. Like it's the real time aspect of it is great.
Yeah, that to me just was really cool because now, as you're seeing things unfolding and that this clock is counting down, that there's an ending to this, right? But now you're saying to yourself, but how is it going to end?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and hopefully,
he's got like 90 questions left to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Yeah.
It's so good, man.
Yeah, and that for me, which I don't even know if I've ever thanked them for this. So I'll thank you guys now. Thank you, PT and Jonathan. Just also having writers that are willing to be collaborative. That's always the thing too, right? It's if you're a director for hire and you're coming on a project that someone else has written, that's its own beast. Because it's like you want to respect their creative, but you're also the one who's hired to now manifest this vision, right? In like 3D form. And sometimes you're going to agree and sometimes you don't. And I was so happy that from the jump, I had said my piece and as did they, where it was like the movie is always going to come first, right? Like it's okay to disagree. For me, some of the greatest ideas or things that we figured out, both with this project and any project I've ever done has been someone saying, I see it like this. And then someone else sees it like this. And we both know that we both want our needs to be met. So how do we find something in the middle, right? Or if 9 people out of the team feel like something's really working and one person is saying something's not right here, just being willing to say, okay, well, if 1 out of 10 is saying something's off, like let's just keep digging in until everyone has that satisfying feeling. And that's one thing that I feel like we all walked away from, right? With this project is like, we came out with a film where we collaborated and we were satisfied. And that's hard too, to get to that point.
So as a smaller film, bigger films, they have screeners, they screen them, they get feedback, they change them, they edit them. most people don't realize that it's not like one guy goes into a room and is just like, okay, well, this is what people say. It costs shitloads of money.
Yeah.
To screen something, to go back, to reshoot it, to re-edit it, to do all of those things. So, from a smaller film who's on a budget, who probably by the time you get to where you're finished with the film, you've exhausted a lot of your funds, and you're kind of you're stuck with what you got. So, what's your process after the film is finished? To making sure that you have a great product and that you're not blocked, I could guess, say, by your own like hubris.
Yeah, it's a really, really great question. That it's a hard thing, right? I think George Lucas had said, and I don't know if I have this quote exactly, but I believe he said, a movie is never finished, it's only abandoned, right? It's just like any piece of art, right? Like you could always keep going, right? With anything, you can go keep tweaking, keep correcting, but also at the same time.
Yeah, he's a perfect example of when you should stop.
Asshole.
It happens. It's really freaking tempting. I mean, we've had that feeling too.
Can you imagine having the money to go back like 35 years later, re-edit?
It's crazy, man.
Throw in some fucking AI and oh my god,
it's not. And that
I mean, he ruined it, but I wish I had that money.
but it's a question we asked ourselves. You know, really, because there's always going to be so many things that you could go out there and fix. But also at the same time, like my wife, who's my producing and writing partner, she always says, done is better than perfect, and perfect is the enemy of the good, right? She always repeats that all the time. And it really reminds you, sometimes you can try to polish something so much that it does end up eventually losing some of that spontaneity or some of that rawness. I mean, I think the only way you combat that is, you have partners where you check each other. You know what I mean? I think that's what's helpful. But in terms of the life cycle of film, look, sometimes you shoot a film and, you take it out to buyers or a distributor looks at it and they're really happy, but reshoots are a real thing. Sometimes a distributor will find your movie, and they're just like, we want to reshoot this ending. Or, we want to we have this one scene in this tiny cafeteria, but we want to do it in a huge cafeteria. We want hundreds of extras. So sometimes they'll put financing in the film and they'll say, hey, you know what? We really want to tweak these couple of elements. I mean, movies are so notorious for it, about having to do reshoots. I think that when you're on an independent film, to the best of your ability, you have to truly look at your money as this is what we have. You can't spend money you don't, right? So to the best of our ability, we just try to make the film the best that we can with what we have. And then after that, you kind of have to just like let go and let God, because again, you can tweak it forever, but you just don't know if by doing that, do you end up losing some of that,
and where do you stop? You know what I mean? Like not you right now. I mean,
right.
Generally speaking. Yeah.
Generally speaking, like where is the end? Where is it? Are you just abandoning your art, or because technically, if I get it, you're abandoning it because you're done with it.
You don't want to be like Michelangelo going to the museum and doing touch-ups on Mona Lisa.
Well, and sometimes what happens too. Two things can kind of help you too to tell you when it's done, right? As well. Sometimes the distributor comes along. You've sold your movie, right? It's like, hey, this is a horror movie and we want to debut it October 15th. October 15th it's going live, right? And you have all these days, right, of benchmarks of what deliverables have to be delivered, and they have to QA the movie and make sure everything works. So at a certain point, if that's a situation, you have your deadline. Now, when you don't have that distributor, that's when it's challenging, right? In a way, because as the filmmaker, you can keep tweaking, right? Yeah. Keep fixing it and maybe they'll like this and maybe they'll like that. And I think, again, at the end of the day, you just have to turn to your team and say, how do we feel about it? Do we feel satisfied? Do we feel good about it? And if everyone can look at each other and say, yeah, then I think you kind of have this feeling like, okay, maybe we can move on now. Or maybe we just have to let it rest, let it, do its thing, let people see it, and see what the response is. And then if you really have to change something, I feel like it kind of tells you, if you see a movie and you're getting the same feedback, for example, nobody likes the ending, or, everyone watches and nobody gets this one thing, then you have to say to yourself, all right, well, can we make that more clear? And that's why it's really helpful. You know, when you hear films have test screenings and focus groups, they really are helpful.
Sure.
I was listening, I think I've mentioned it before, but listening to an interview with, who did Frankenstein? Benicio del Toro?
The new one?
The new one, right?
I think it was...
Not Benicio del Toro.
I mean, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro, yeah.
My bad.
Wrong del Toro.
Right?
Yeah.
So he said in an interview that he doesn't do screenings or anything. He shows it. He goes, I show it to about 5 or 6 people. And then the guy was like, who are you? What 5 or 6 people? And he was like, Steven Spielberg, and literally the 5 of like the biggest directors in the universe, like his greatest friends. And they're like, and he's like, and you know, when they give me notes and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, what do you do when they give you a note? He's like, I don't question it. I do it.
Yeah.
He's like,
interesting.
when I show it to them and they give me a note, I don't question it. I do it.
Mm.
And he's like, and this is what you get.
Well, he also has like,
but I was like,
super.
How crazy is that to have been like one of the 5 people you show it to is like, Spielberg. Let's just say directors amongst the Spielberg level, four over those, and they give you a note, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm not even going to question it.
Well, he's got a fat Rolodex.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy.
But
yeah, and I think it's interesting too, though, right? Like, and you bring up such a good point. It's really that's a challenge for filmmakers too when it comes from like the screenplay process and a finished film, because again, and someone told me this very long ago, everyone's going to have an opinion, right? And if you ask for that, you have to be prepared to receive it. I always look at it as, I think it's good to show someone that is not a writer, just an everyday average person who just watches movies, because that's all we were, right? Before we became filmmakers, we were just someone who went and watched movies, right? How does this land on you? And then if you want, I think it is helpful to show, let's say, a director that you really trust. Like I have my own circle of people that I really trust and they trust me, and we'll show early cuts or screenplays to and say, does this resonate? Or sometimes we'll come very specific questions. We'll say, you know, do you think, for example, we need all these characters? And sometimes we'll get feedback and say, nah, you can combine 2 of them. And that's what's helpful about having like this little mastermind group of people. But I think at the end of the day, you know, you could take all of that, right? But you also have to say, well, what's true to me, right? As the director, right? You can get a note, and if it's really bumping up against your inner truth, sometimes you have to just trust that truth, because so many directors and writers I love, they talk about these like sometimes crazy choices that everyone else thought was terrible, and it ends up being the most memorable scene in the movie.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that just comes with experience. I mean, maybe getting older or just doing it more, you know, having people you trust, but also trusting yourself.
I'm curious, speaking of creative choices, with a screenlife movie like this, where I'm just curious about the set decoration and the art design, because you have just, for example, you have whatever's behind Chris in his room. You've got the room where the baby, you know, the baby's room.
Yep.
You got the front door, you know, the front door cam.
Yep.
And it's not mobile. It's just a fixed image, like we all see, like behind our spaces right here. Talk about the thought that went into designing the spaces behind the people in these scenes.
I'm so glad no one's asked that question. I'm so glad you asked that. So I've been working with my production designer, Almudena Caminero. Amazing. She and I have been working together 7 years now. And we had a lot of discussions about this, right? Because this, again, was going to be so opposite of approaching any other film. And it was this, we laugh at it now, but we were driving ourselves nuts. So this was the big question we had when we were trying to design. So we would look. So obviously we all know, like, right, when we're on webcams, they're often flipped, right? So for example, like everything you see in my background is flipped, except for this, right? You can read this, and there's a story behind this. So this is actually one of the posters from the movie. The reason why you can read this is because at one point we were just like, guys, should we just print everything backwards? So when we watch the movie, it's frontwards? Because we were like, how the hell do we approach this? We didn't approach it like that eventually, but we have this. So it's like a funny reminder. So what we discovered is in most of the screenlife movies, when you look in the background, there's very rarely text because it would kind of drive your eyes kind of nuts, right? To see like an A backwards or a B backwards. So in a lot of the films, they'll just have
and I'm
shapes.
dyslexic. That would probably just be normal.
Drive you nuts. But that was a big factor, right? Was about that. So at a certain point, we were like, it's going to be like this poster in particular, which is one of their tour posters. It was going to be backwards. And I was like, okay, I can live with that. Yeah, a lot of it was finding the right home too, right? What is the home that really feels like lived in? Also,
I was going to say the spatial, the how tight the apartment was showed the financial struggle. And they were about to have a baby, and you're like, you're going to fit a baby in that place? Like, what are you going to do? Take out a couch cushion?
I know. And I thought too that because of where we were, that it had that closed in feeling. You were really feeling like him, right? Because again, you're right here. You're this close to the computer, right? I mean, Steven was probably, 2 feet away from the camera the entire time. And then just the way it framed, it had this like really claustrophobic, dark and gloomy feeling. You're like, man, I wouldn't want to be there, man. I would probably feel really bummed out myself.
Here's a marketing campaign for you.
Sure.
Take it. When the movie gets distributed, put the movie posters backwards and encourage users to give reviews, selfie reviews in front of the movie poster at the theater, and then the people will be able to read it on the.
I love that. It's really smart. I'm gonna write that.
It is smart.
It's really smart.
That's one of those ideas that's
I had to interrupt you because I was like, oh my God, that's actually really cool.
That's one of those ideas that are like so good. I just kind of want to smack you in the face.
That's why I wrote it down. Someone one time told me to never trust your memory. A good idea comes, write that sucker down. I love it.
Is your last name Del Toro? Because you have to take my note.
I love it. But to answer your question, also too, like with, for example, like the tech company, and even you almost have to, here's the funny thing. You have to also look at the computer screen as if you're designing a set, right? Like everything in the screen from his desktop background to the icons. I mean, dude, that was the craziest part of the whole thing. Right? Because now you're really
I'm totally, just because we're about to stray away from this. When you were talking, you mentioned before, and I'm so sorry for cutting you off, but you mentioned before that when he opens the door and he leaves and how tight it was. Part of the thing that I thought was amazing was you mentioned that you didn't mess with the lighting. So when the door opened and you were looking not from the perspective of the doorbell cam yet, the light hit the camera. The light hit the screen. That kept me in it.
Oh, cool, man. That's awesome.
That made me want to go to the door.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
In every other movie, they take that out. They take that flare out, right? That flare brought me into the next scene and brought me to the
awesome
doorbell cam. So I just wanted to mention that was really, really good to keep in.
Yeah, no, Dom and I kept talking a lot again, and it's hard, man. It's like unlearning everything you ever learned, right? Underproduced, and it was, again, this movie to this date was the greatest challenge I've ever, just creatively. But man, I tell people all the time, I learned so much, really from going through this process, and also too, what a blessing it is to actually get to work on something that actually makes you feel like you have to learn how to make a film for the first time.
Yeah.
And freaking scary all at the same token.
You were about to say something about the layout of the screen, even when it comes to design, the layout of
that's the crazy part of everything. Yeah. I mean, we had to discuss everything from the tones and the colors. For example, when the character goes on YouTube, we have to choose all the videos, right? And what do those videos show about the character? What have they been watching? So that was, for me, the craziest part about this whole process is because you almost have unlimited creativity, right? Like you can create anything you want there. And that's so cool. But at the same time, it's scary because then you're like, well, is my idea creative enough, right? Whatever the heck that means. Or can I find other parts? But I think, again, whether it's I'm talking with Almudena as my production designer, or we're talking to sound or editors, everything has to service the story, right? So at the end of the day, all those choices that we talk about and collaborate, what does this tell us about the character? Where are they at? What do they want, right? What is the colors of some person's office, right? If somebody has poppier colors, that's going to create a feeling in you. When you watch Chris's room and it's dark, that's going to create a feeling. And I think that's what's so cool about movies and film, is that you can utilize all those choices, right? To essentially help the audience feel what your character's feeling.
The backgrounds of all 10 of the beta testers doing, like when you see them on that Zoom call, you have to do 10 backgrounds right there, right?
Well, here's what's funny about that.
By the way, Stu, I said, by the way, Stu. Yeah, I like your room, Stu.
Thanks.
Oh man, I was gonna say that CEO woman. The second she came on, I would have ran. I would have been like, nope, done.
You guys really captured the feeling, like
holy moly, like she's amazing.
Thank you so much for saying that. So Nicole Goot, who played Erica, first off, she's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Like as a person, she has one of the biggest hearts. But man, she plays that authoritative, like don't mess with me, like the teacher or the boss.
You're not going to get any pudding if you don't eat your meat.
You would never want to get in trouble with her. No. And just that scowl that she just was, it was just, I mean, it's just amazing.
It was like the guy at the orphanage in Oliver Twist.
But even the, the
mean
promo,
as fuck, like, oh man.
You got the reaction from me that I get anytime I look at any of these tech leaders on a stage talking about their latest shit, where I start to roll my eyes immediately when she's talking about the AI and they're like, how this is going to change your life and blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, the snake oil that you just nailed it. I literally had the real reaction that I have when I see those things,
and it's crazy because I worked in advertising. I did a stint for many, many years as a freelance video producer and working as a writer and director. And you come to understand, right? If your product is a sock, right, and that's what you're tasked with promoting or marketing, what does a sock mean to someone, right? Beyond just it goes on your feet. Does it create warmth or security? So everyone who's trying to sell a product, they're passionate about that product. So you have to go into the mind of a tech CEO, right, who is creating and working in artificial intelligence, regardless if her purpose is positive or negative. They say no villain ever thinks they're a villain. So then you have to dig into that character, right? What is exciting for them? Something is exciting them, whether it's money or the fame, or they just want to beat out every other company that's trying. So that was a lot of the discussions that Nicole and I would talk and collaborate on, like, what is really driving this person? Because for me, just to say she's a greedy corporate CEO, it's not that interesting. I want to learn more about that person. How did you get there? Because nobody was born that way, right? Like, what was that thing? What drives you? So, and she's smart. She knew how to process that information and create this character, like you said, you wouldn't want to be in trouble with.
I didn't really, and maybe I'm curious, you can tell us about the reception you've had at CineQuest and elsewhere, but I didn't really view her as a villain so much as...
That's awesome.
As a victim of the AI, like everybody else. Like she, that it's a typical situation of someone thinking they can control something that they really can't control,
Well, but how many, I guess that doesn't make you a villain, but at the same time,
it's more like Dr. Frankenstein losing control of the monster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I think that's a big, fear everyone has, right? Because, we talked about Total Recall before. Right. I always think about Terminator 2, and Terminator 1, they talk about this idea, right, of artificial intelligence, reaching some kind of sentience, right? Some self-awareness. And then when it can actually make decisions, will those decisions be beneficial or harmful to us? I think it's one of the biggest questions we all ask ourselves now, because we have artificial intelligence, right, on a computer, but once it starts living in a physical form, i.e. androids, robots, et cetera, I think that's when, we're going to officially be in the future, or at least we're going to feel like we're in the future. When we're walking, Steve, in Astoria, or we're walking in the streets of Manhattan, all of a sudden you're walking next to a robot. We're going to be like, man, we're here now, guys.
The one thing that I never understood about any of this is all of the AI. And the one thing that I always ask is the one question that never makes sense to me.
You mean about AI in general?
About AI in general and about all of this stuff is,
right.
How does the AI understand on and off?
Interesting.
That's my question. I don't understand that.
You mean when you say on and off, you mean like it being discontinued, or like my program is
being on or off? How does the AI comprehend or understand the space and time in between them? So for me, a lot of that's where my brain goes, is how does it even know when it's on or off? Or not he or it. Sorry.
Yeah, and I wonder the same, in terms of, does AI kind of look at it like, okay, does it look to us as people and also look at, I guess, machines, right? So it's kind of, it knows it's a machine, right? It knows it's not an organic human. And what has happened with machines that don't work, right? Either parts get replaced, or maybe that machine gets, like you said, discontinued or put on the scrap heap.
Right, like Terminator, they were going to shut down Skynet.
Right. They were going to shut it down. And
how did it understand off?
Yeah, but here's the deal. Nowadays, right, with the network of massive servers that are needed around the globe to make the stuff function that functions now, it's like there is no off. That AI is always living somewhere. It's almost like a virus. It's
right.
That whatever it is, it's because it's all communal knowledge, right? And it's just there. It's just there. So the only off would be to completely destroy the internet. That's the only off.
And the crazy thing, my wife was telling me about this recently. There was a study that she had read. Steve, I'm going to remember to send this to you, where I think they were trying to test different forms of AI. But what they did was kind of similar to Serena. The AI was involved, like they put it basically inside kind of a corporate structure, and they tested it by allowing the AI, like it also had access to emails, right? So they would give these scenarios like the CEO is having an affair with, some random person. And as they were trying to shut down the AI, right, simulating a shutdown, all of a sudden the AI came back with all the secrets of all the people. I know that your CEO is cheating and you guys or whatever, haven't paid your business taxes, et cetera. And it tried to self-preserve. And I think most of them did. So there's something that it knows, I guess, inherently, like if an AI at all times is, I guess, trying to understand people, we know that at the very least, we have this idea of self-preservation, right? Most animals, organisms, they do. So maybe it's just simulating that, right? That's like one of the things that I think defines us as people, right? That, we do want to live. So yeah, it's crazy, man. I always say the next 5 years of our lives are, I think, going to change so much, because if you think about it, right? Did anybody talk about AI during the pandemic? I don't remember. Maybe it was like very early days. Now it's everywhere. And now it's a part of so many different companies. And
sure.
I just realized that, like, you're going to have a discussion with your fucking kids. That's like, if you don't see me in person, I'm not saying it to you.
Well, yeah.
Someone on the screen that's me telling you to go somewhere may not be me. Do not go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to need to have that conversation with your kids.
Yeah, like, how do you... I was going to say, how do you take... I was just talking about this with my wife. Like, when you train a kid to, like, let's say during a kidnapping or something, where they're saying, this is not my parent. Don't just yell help.
Yeah.
Be very clear about, this is not my parent. This is not my parent. But how do you do that in the cyber world when there can be a deep fake that exactly looks, talks, sounds, and uses the language of your parent?
That's one of the scariest things. And I think the regulations around artificial intelligence, that's going to be hopefully a conversation that keeps evolving, right? Because it's not going anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of what you said, Steve. Like, you can't shut it off. There's no way I think that it ever is not going to be a part of our lives going forward. So just like anything else, we have to say to ourselves, okay, well, how can we cohabitate, right? Because out of any piece of technology, thinking of the automobile, the TV, this one feels like the most, I don't know if it's the most impactful besides the internet, but it feels that way, you know?
Sure.
And yeah, it's scary. You know, people, you know, question I get after screenings is, how do I approach it? You know, how do I feel? And I say, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a little bit of fear, but I also try to say, can we go in with some openness and just try to see where things land versus being so afraid now, and then if there's something to be scared of later, now we're doubly worried, right? Versus like, let's just kind of see what happens and unfold. And, you know, we always evolve, you know, we always learn how to work with new things and new technologies. This is just a big one.
Mm-hmm. What is the future, speaking of that, of this movie? When any ideas on when people are going to be able to see this in a wider distribution, or even more festivals, or what's going on with the movie?
Yeah, great segue. So by the time this film drops, because I know you gave me the date, we will be
this episode today. It should be, unless we completely fuck shit up, it should be June 19th right now. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So by June 19th, we would have had our third screening now at this point. So we were accepted to Raindance Film Festival in the UK. So that's going to be our UK premiere. Nice. That's not public until May 17th. So by the time we're recording now, it's not public, but by the time this airs, the film will have screened there. So I'm super excited. I've never been to the United Kingdom, so it's my first time ever going. It's a really amazing festival. They're so supportive of the filmmakers. And yeah, I'm just super pumped. Now, in terms of the future, so we have a sales agent on board, ArcLight Films. So they've joined the film, taking worldwide sales rights. So now we're just like every other independent film. You know, you share it with all your typical buyers, your streamers, both domestically and internationally, and you show them the film, and you hope that they see what you guys saw. And then from there, once we lock in the distribution, then we start talking about, okay, what is the rollout going to be, right? You can go theatrical with a film, or you can go straight to a streamer. Sometimes it goes theatrical internationally. And sometimes a film can go internationally first, do so well that then you get a theatrical release here domestically. So it's crazy because it's a choose your own adventure. Like there literally is no one path with an independent film. So
soon you will be at the phase of looking at offers and putting this totally shit offer on this pile, this decent offer on this pile, this kind of okay offer on this pile.
So, question: once you sign on with a distributor, like, and then you know whatever the contract is or says, what do they own the rights to? What do you still have say over? Like, what if they decide to take it and been like, you know what, this is awesome, but
that could be a reason not.
You know what, we're gonna redo it with this actor, this actress, this person, and this person. And then we're going to do the same exact thing, but we're going to do it with different people.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've never been in that situation before. So if that was to happen, this will be my first time. But I do know that's, I guess it's par for the course in terms of, you know, what you decide and what kind of, I guess, how do you want to say, what kind of conversations you have? Because I think more than anything, the distributor's job, they want the film to do well, right? They want it to be seen by as many people, and they want to release it when it's the best time and the best method of release. So I think a lot of it in with that being said is choosing the right person, right? So it's really knowing, do they have the best intention, right? Do you feel that, you know, inherently, and what's the plan? Because also too, rolling out a film during the wrong time could also be catastrophic for a film. You know, they call it like counter programming, right? Sometimes, you know, your film gets released theatrically when, like, let's say 2 or 3 of the hottest films of the summer are out. You know, your film may never get seen. So there's so many different conversations. But again, that's why you hope with your distributor that, you know, you have that relationship, you have those conversations. And I think a lot of it too is having those creative conversations, because we've all seen it, right? You see a film and it's not marketed the right way, right? Or you see a film that maybe you didn't think was great, but they marketed the hell out of it and they made it look like it was going to be amazing. So again, I will be going through this in real time. So I am so happy to come back for a part 2 if you guys will ever have me. And I can kind of tell you a little bit more about that experience, but I'm really hoping for the best. I think, the long and short of it, the film is very special to us. We worked so hard on it. I looked at my email literally 2 days ago, and I was just wondering, I was like, when did we first start talking? It was March 5th, 2024 that PT Jonathan and I were introduced by Exit 44. So by this point, we've been working together for 2 years and 2 months. So it's wild to be working on one film.
That's pretty good.
It is good. You're right.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. That's good.
But here's the crazy thing, Steve. The film that we just worked on, right? Operation Fastlink. Yep. That's a film where Jerry wrote that, like he said, 12 years ago. Yeah. So you see, that's the thing, man. You just don't know. Like you really, when you guys, even from when you guys first approached me, like over a year ago about it, to when we actually got it set is such a long time. Yeah.
I feel like this is also going to be one of those movies like The Ring, where in 3 or 4 years, there's going to be like a French version of this film with like their top tier actors. It's just going to be the opposite side because you're going to come out with it first. Like when I first saw or let's just use The Ring as an example. When I watched it, I was like, man, that's good. My buddy's like, dude, have you seen the original? I'm like, the what?
Yeah.
And then you watch the original and you're like, fuck, that was so good.
Yeah. Look, man, I really hope so. I hope so. And, really, to me, one of the coolest things also would be for people who have never seen a screenlife film before, because there's still people that I say screenlife, they have no idea what it is. Mm-hmm. So for people to see this film and then also be willing to give it a chance as a medium, right? Because I want to see how can screenlife evolve? And that was the big thing that Ellis, our editor, and I kept saying, is like, all right, how can we contribute to the language, right?
Well,
because there hasn't been that many of them.
Screenlife, and now there's something called Screen View. So you have Screenlife. I have seen Screen View. I think that there is now an inherent difference because you have brought the screen actually to life and made it a character in your film. It is an essential piece of the puzzle that is not just in there and used as a world binder.
Yeah, it's not just as surveillance. That was the thing. We didn't want it just to be surveillance. We wanted everything to have a purpose. And, that's, again, storytelling. Like I always say, people that I've really admired, writers I love, directors I love, they said everything has to have a purpose and everything has to have meaning. The worst thing is you go to a festival or someone says, man, I really love the color of whatever. And like, what did that mean? And you're just like, I don't know. We just chose it. It's like, that's fine. But I like when something has meaning, when it's like, oh, you know what? We chose red because, the character's mom wore red in this. And this was like hearkening back to the memories of her, whatever it is. I like if there's meaning to things. And I think that also comes back to, again, working with great teams. We had such a great team on this. And the coolest thing for me was these are people I worked on short films for years, doing films for very little or no money. So to be able to do this incredible feature film with those same Dom and I have been shooting together for 15 years, it's been really such a journey. And I'm very grateful.
I know I could talk forever about this, right? But my last question, because we're over time, and this could open a Pandora's box, but talking about
Ask it.
Screen View and Screen Life and everything having meaning. What considerations, if any, did you do shooting a Screen Life film for the big screen? Like when you were designing the backgrounds and like we were talking about before, there's stuff that people will see on the big screen that they will not see on this screen that we're looking at each other right now.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It makes you more conscious of things, right? Because you start to say to yourself, for example, if I put an icon near someone's video, right? And I'm watching that video all the time. That icon is always going to be there. And as small as it is on my computer screen, it's going to be huge, right? On an actual movie screen. So you have to say to yourself, is it aesthetically pleasing too, right? So again, you combine the meaning also too with what you think is interesting. So a lot of times, like for Chris, for example, in particular with designing his desktop, we were very aware that a lot of this movie is really him and Serena, right? It's really like two people talking for most of it. So you have to say to yourself, okay, how could we make the UI interesting, right? The actual chat, but also how can we tell Chris's story with what's around? And then also trying to show like, how can we use colors that we thought were interesting and told a story? It was hard. That was some of the toughest stuff, was actually, believe it or not, designing that desktop background, because we knew we were going to be watching it the entire time. We wanted things to have meaning, but we also didn't want to clutter it. It was not easy whatsoever.
One more question I have to ask now, like, because so did you actually have the framing of how much and how little was in the background based on possibly the character and their station in life? Because I felt like that when you were looking at a lot of the other screens of the characters, that Steven's character was very close to his screen, because his apartment was very cramped. And then there were other people who were at different distances from their screen. And I was just wondering if you did that on purpose based on the fact that this person's got a little bit more money, so they got a little bit more space. So their screen's a little further away. Because every time he came on screen, I found myself...
I'll say this. I wish I could take credit for that. I think a lot of that really was the actors. I think a lot of it was the feelings that they had, what was inherent in them. You know, we had different desks, right? So we had to find different desks, also 2 desks that were able to handle the weight of the rig, because the rig that camera was housed on was huge. It looked like a battle machine, right? To set this thing up. But yeah, I think with Steven, a lot of it too was just his inherent choices. And then when you see it, it just feels right. And you're like, hey, this is this actor's, this is what they feel inspired to do. I also just feel like with him, at a certain point too, as they were starting to break down their barriers, there started to be a lot more of that closeness, which again, that's with working with brilliant actors. And I think with also too, like with our CEO character, you know, we would talk a little bit about that, right? Like, hey, you're the one in control here, right? How does someone who is in power, how do they sit in a chair, right? Usually people come to them. There's a comfortability. So you do talk to your actors about that, but a lot of the sometimes are just things that are just happy accidents. But again, I wish I could have designed how close they were to the screen, but thank you for noticing, and I'm glad it had meaning for you.
Awesome. Dude, this has been so great. I cannot wait till the movie fully is out there.
Me too, man.
Tell people to go see it.
For sure.
And you know what? Again, I'm pitching this part too. It could be awesome too once the movie's out for us to now have another conversation, right? Like how people actually receive. But this has been, guys, this has been so fun. I'm so glad that we got to do this episode. This is so awesome.
Yeah, totally, man. It was great. Thank you so much for
coming on, man.
Of course.
Your afternoon with us.
And you guys, of course, and you guys want me to do, you said like a plug, right, at the end?
Oh, yeah. We'll do it. We'll do it. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Matt, cut out that question. Let's say goodbye. We'll say our goodbyes.
Yeah.
No, but it's so great that you would spend your afternoon with us, man.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's such a great conversation.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for watching the film and for supporting independent film. That's the big thing. I think it's more important than ever. And I feel like films like this are really important. So, you know, the fact that you guys took your time to let me come and chat about it, I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure, dude.
Thank you.
All right, take care, man.
Thanks, guys.
Film Fights with Friends is produced by Stephen Kepfer, Paul Veracci, Press Record Studios, and Breakball Studios. This episode was engineered by Matthew Kaplowitz. This show is powered by our supporters at Patreon and is a registered trademark of Film Fights with Friends, LLC. Original theme by Aru Luster.